Are you tired of the high egg prices or possibly even the shortage of eggs in your grocery store? Well, today I want to talk about getting chickens. I know that for so many people, the thought of getting chickens possibly seems overwhelming. It may seem unrealistic, or it might not even seem possible. But I want to just quickly go over some of the benefits of having chickens, some really great breeds to start out with, and how having your own chickens in your own backyard can supply you with eggs, and so that you don't have to worry about going to the grocery store and not finding your eggs, or about paying the high price of the eggs. So first off, having backyard chickens is one of the most rewarding and fun and simple things that I do here on my little farm. I've had chickens my entire life, and I have just never had an animal that I actually enjoyed as much as I do with the chickens. And one of the reasons why is because they're actually very easy to take care of. I have a huge feeder that holds almost a month's worth of food. I have an automatic waterer. And so really the only day-to-day task that I have to take care of is collecting the eggs. And if I forget for a day or two, it's really not a big deal. The eggs don't go bad by being in the coop for an extra day or two without being collected. And so here are a few things that I would love for you to consider, especially if you're already thinking about getting chicks. There's really not any convincing, but if you think that you can't have chickens, this is the point that I want to make. So keeping your own chickens is, first of all, pretty cost effective. I know that there's the initial investment of getting your coop, and that may seem a little bit overwhelming, but chickens don't need anything fancy. If you need to just start out with something simple like a dog kennel that just has a roof over it to protect them from the weather, and you can maybe surround the sides with a tarp to keep the wind from going in, and then you can just put a few simple things in there for them to lay their eggs in, such as like a pail with some shavings in it, or an old milk crate filled with some shavings. There's so many different things that you can do, or you could build your own nesting boxes, but that's besides the point. It's very simple. Sometimes if you let your chickens just free range, they just go and pick to lay their eggs in a bush, which is not really ideal because then finding those eggs is not really the easiest. But my point is the chickens don't need something special to lay in. It's just nice to have a dedicated area that you can fill with shavings to keep the eggs clean and just provide kind of a soft, safe place for them to lay their eggs. But after you decide that you're going to get chickens, often the first thing that people want to know is what breeds to start with. And there's so many breeds out there, it's often overwhelming to figure out what breeds to start with. But if you are wanting your chickens specifically for eggs, I love to start off with breeds that are bred for being great egg layers. And there's many, many breeds that are great egg layers. But one of the other really cool things that is a good deciding factor for myself is a chicken that is good at laying eggs, but that is also cost effective. And it's like a double whammy because they're cheaper to raise and they lay wonderful, great eggs consistently pretty much all throughout the year. And so the two breeds that come to mind as I think of a good egg layer and a cost-effective breed is a white leghorn, which is the commercial breeding chicken, the commercial laying chicken. They're commercially bred to lay eggs. That's what I was getting at. And then the whiting true green. They both have a low feed to egg conversion ratio, which means they don't take that much food and they still consistently lay really, really well, especially compared to other breeds. Whereas there's larger breeds out there like Cochins and Wyandottes that eat more food because they're just a larger breed in general. They're still good layers, but they're going to eat a lot more food. So if you're trying to keep things more cost effective, definitely consider raising a breed with a low feed to egg conversion ratio. And like I mentioned, the two that I have that I really enjoy is the white leghorn and the whiting true green. The other thing to consider is raising breeds that are friendly, because it's always nice to go into your chicken coop and not get pecked by your birds, especially if you have little kids. And so a few that I always have considered keeping in my flock are the Buff Orpington, Wyandottes, Brahmas, Cochins. They're all really friendly. Rhode Island Reds, which are one of the most popular popular chickens just in general. They're, I think, the most sold breed in America. And so anyways, keeping friendly chickens is another great thing. And the whiting true green and the white leghorn, which I mentioned earlier, are both friendly. The problem with the white leghorn though is that they're just a little bit flighty. So if you're looking for a chicken that can be picked up and held and cuddled and kind of be like your backyard pet, I wouldn't suggest the white leghorn. but the whiting true green is very friendly. So then the next thing is that once you get your coop, whatever it ends up being, I always say start with whatever you have. And as you work your way up, and as the years go by or months go by and you decide that you're really into having chickens and you want a better coop, you can always upgrade, but you don't have to start with the best coop. You don't have to start with anything fancy. I just think it's really important for everyone to have chickens, even if it's just 2 to 3 laying hens, so that you can have your own eggs in your own backyard. I don't feel that anybody should truly depend on the store for every commodity. I know it's not realistic to think that you can be completely self-sufficient, but it's just really nice knowing that you have something supplying you with some food in your own backyard. And if you live in town and having chickens is something that you aren't allowed to have, and I can't say to keep the chickens if you're not allowed to keep the chickens, but many cities let you have chickens, but they just have a problem with the noise. And the really cool thing is that hens do not need a rooster to lay eggs. And so if you keep only hens, you don't have to worry about the roosters crowing in the morning. It's likely that no one's even going to know you have them in your backyard. And so you can keep hens, but the only thing if you don't have a rooster is that they won't be able to get fertilized and hatch out chicks. But to me, that's really not an issue, because I prefer to buy my chickens from a hatchery anyways, because then I am sure that I'm getting hens and I also get to pick the exact breeds that I want. Whereas when you have a rooster, if you have multiple different breeds and a rooster, when that rooster breeds those hens, they're going to be a mix of that rooster and that hen. And if they're different breeds, you're just going to get a variety of different chicken breeds, which is not a problem, but I just prefer certain breeds to be in my flock, and so I always buy straight from a hatchery or from a feed store. Either way is fine. And so I just usually don't keep a rooster around, and it's really nice if you're in town, you don't have to worry about that noise complaint. And so the other thing to consider when you're getting chickens, if you're thinking of getting chickens, I truly believe this year is the best year to get started with your chickens. Quit putting it off. I just want to assure you that they're easy to raise. And I have so much information on my blog, which is audreyslittlefarm.com. I have a lot of chicken keeping videos here on this YouTube channel. I also have an ebook about raising chickens, which I'll link to below. I have a membership as well. If you are interested in memberships, I have a membership with other fellow chicken keepers and gardeners where people can hop in there and ask questions at any time, and they will get a direct response from me. We do different trainings in there. I have resources for you, but the biggest benefit of the membership is that you can ask me questions about anything at any time, and I will get back to you always within the day. And so that's something really fun that I've been working on, is the membership, because I know that when you get started in something like chicken keeping, there's so many questions that come to mind, and you don't always have the time to read books and articles and watch videos to get all those answers. And so the membership is the best place for you to go in there, ask your question, and then you'll get a response from myself. So as we continue through the start of this year of 2023, and whenever it is that you're watching this video, if it's years from now, my advice is still the same. I recommend just getting your chickens, starting out, because I've heard from so many people that were afraid to get chickens that took my advice and they got chicks, and then they have emailed me and sent me wonderful messages of how the chicks really were much easier to raise than what they thought, and that the chickens are now their favorite thing that they have. Their personalities are great. They love the fresh eggs. Their kids and grandkids, whoever it is in their life, love spending time with the chickens and collecting the eggs. It's just overall, it's a wonderful, fun process. And so whether it's for the eggs, whether it's for the hobby, or just something else fun to do, getting chickens is a wonderful addition to life. And so if you have questions, I would love for you to comment. You could send me an email. One of the other links in the description is going to be a link to my free chicken keeping guide, and that puts you on my email list, and you can email me at any time. You could also join the membership. That link will be in the description as well. And if you do get chickens and you're wondering what I think are some of the best breeds to raise, head to this next video where I talk about some of the best breeds for meat, for eggs, for pets, and more. So head to that video next, and I'll see you there.